Welcome to the Notes on Becoming podcast, where we have honest conversations about growth, change, and the process of becoming our best selves. I'm your host, Riley Rehl, and today we're talking all about elimination diets, and specifically my experience doing an elimination diet. I am doing this as part of phase 1 of the Becoming series. If you're unfamiliar, I'm on this journey to become the best version of myself, starting on the inside with phase 1 internal. So I'm starting this. You can think of it like a glow up journey, but we're breaking it down into manageable pieces so it's not super overwhelming. And the first phase is all about getting everything inside of my body figured out and the best it can be. And then we'll move on to phase 2, environmental, and phase 3, external. So as part of phase 1 of the Becoming series, and just as a challenge for myself, I wanted to do an elimination diet. If you're unfamiliar with an elimination diet, kind of what it's all about is cutting out any inflammatory or foods that are common allergens and then slowly reintroducing them back in your diet after a period of time, one by one, to see how they affect your body. So to outline kind of what I decided, the direction I decided to go for my elimination diet, I did some research beforehand and I found a YouTube channel called The Science of Self-Care, and it's hosted by Robin, and she did a video about her experience doing an elimination diet, and I low-key just went off of her list that she made. She has a Notion page linked in her description, completely free, with like a grocery shopping list, and I basically just bought what was good, like on limits, off of that list, and then didn't eat anything that was not included on it. And she has it broken up into like fruits, vegetables, grains, or whatever, and like which ones to avoid and which ones that she ate on her elimination diet. So I basically followed that. But guys, I kind of went the strictest you could go. And I guess I should talk about why I even decided to do an elimination diet, because during this process, people have been asking me that so much, especially people in my life that I'm like interacting with, because I went and did things, and a lot of times I wasn't able to eat what other people were eating. And so kind of as a background, I basically chose to do this elimination diet because I want to understand my body. And I think part of understanding, getting things right internally, is knowing how foods affect you and how foods affect me, and that was really important to me. So I knew that I wanted to do this. I've been thinking about it for a long time, and so just starting the process of becoming really helps me just get a kickstart and the motivation and determination to do this challenge, because I knew it was going to be difficult. And I was also entering a period of time where I was being is selfish the right word with my time? Like I was like really grinding and locked in on my work, and so I wasn't like going out or doing things socially very much. So there were still situations where I had that pressure, but not as much as I would if I was starting it right now. So anyways, here's what I tell people. I want to understand how different foods react to my body. It was a great challenge, and I was intrigued by the lessons that I could learn by putting myself through an elimination diet. One external reason that I wanted to do it was because my skin on my face, I've had these, like, what are they called? Not clogged pores. Sebum buildup under my skin near my jaw. If you're watching on YouTube, I'm pointing to it right here. But basically on either side of my face, near my jaw, I've had this build up, and I've switched my products and I've eaten really clean already, and it hasn't gone away. And so I was really hoping that the elimination diet would help that, and it did help it, but it didn't go away all the way, which is kind of insane, because I cut out all inflammatory foods, including dairy, which I thought may have been the cause, because low-key my diet was like 65% dairy before I did this challenge, which is insane. But also all my favorite foods were dairy, and so I was just eating so much of it. Anyways, okay, so let's jump into kind of my experience doing this. So I started the elimination diet mid-July, and you do 4 weeks. I think you can do between 3. I think it's recommended to do between 3 and 6 weeks of like a full elimination period. So you cut out everything except the things that are okay on the list and you just eat those. So before you reintroduce anything, you're just eating basic things for like 4 weeks. I think I ended up doing 3, low-key. I think I planned to do 4, but then miscalculated, and so I was hyping myself up to like that it was the end of the 4th week, but it was actually only the end of the 3rd week, and I was like, I'm just gonna start reintroducing. So I did 3 weeks. So I did 3 weeks that were more intense, and I was eating like carrots, chicken, salt and pepper were the only spice. Well, actually, salt and pepper and like Italian seasoning I could have, and like dill and stuff, but no onion, garlic, paprika, just chili powder, any cumin, any of those I wasn't allowed to have during the elimination period. So I was just basic of basic. But I truly learned to appreciate foods in their natural form. Like condiments except vinegar. Vinegar is one thing that I really, really not only gained a tolerance to, but a love for. I love vinegar, all kinds. I can drink apple cider vinegar straight, which is kind of insane and also a flex, I think, because at past points in my life, apple cider vinegar has been so intense for me, and so it's just kind of fun that I can literally drink it straight out of the bottle now. But yeah, so basically no condiments, no nothing. And this is a level up from I did an animal-based diet for 75 hard at the beginning of this year. But that was like, I did animal-based, and then I slowly was kind of introducing vegetables back into my diet. Like I was kind of I was a little loose with it on 75 hard, because mostly I just wanted whole foods with like an animal-based focus, but then I missed vegetables, and I was like, vegetables still align with my goals. But this was an even like a step up. I was still eating some vegetables and fruits and things, but very strict on like the oils I was cooking in and the spices. So yeah, pretty intense. You can look at that. Like I said, I'll include a link to Robin's video, so you can go get those Notion pages if you want to see exactly what it was, how I was eating. And so, yes. So that's basically did that for 3 weeks and then started to reintroduce things back in. And so now I want to talk about some pros. Some pros for doing the elimination diet. Probably the biggest pro, I have learned to love the constraints that are required of me in different challenges, especially in food related challenges, because it breeds creativity. I had to get so creative with my meals, and I ended up trying things that I never would have tried if I didn't do the elimination diet. Like parsnips. Who has ever tried parsnip before? Not me, before this challenge, but it turns out they're like I love them. I love parsnips. Sardines, another thing, which honestly, I did my blood test and I need more omega-3s. And so it's kind of dual thing. Like I haven't tried sardines before and they scare me. And it's like a protein and a healthy fat that I can include in my diet while on the elimination. But also because I couldn't have some of the other things that I would typically eat, like tuna. I think I cut tuna out for basically the entire elimination phase. Like I cut that out, and so it was like, okay, let me try this other fish. And fish has always been something that's kind of scared me, different types of fish, but I ended up loving sardines. And then I tried herring, and oh my gosh, if you haven't tried herring, smoked herring specifically, what's the brand? Gold something? I can't remember. I posted about it on my Instagram. But herring is one of my favorite foods. Like canned smoked herring is incredible, and I never would have tried these things, number one, if I didn't get the blood test that told me that I needed them in my diet, but number two, if I didn't have these constraints that forced me to step outside of my comfort zone and try new things. And so that, along with some other foods and just having to work with such a minimal palate, I just was able to experiment in ways that I just wouldn't have, because I wouldn't have had the motivation to. Like, why would I try something new if I can eat the things that I love already? So yeah, found some awesome new recipes, and I just love the process of having to be creative and to find new things to love. guys, internally, another pro is that internally I just feel so good. Like, I have not eaten refined sugar since obviously starting the elimination diet, because you're not supposed to eat that. I think that's a pretty obvious thing to cut out. But guys, I don't have a desire to, really. Another pro is that internally I feel amazing. Like, I do definitely feel like inflammation in my body has gone down. I'm also doing a cut right now. I'm currently on my 4th week, finishing up my 4th week of my cut. And I think that is also just helping me feel better. But the elimination diet and cutting out inflammatory foods has also helped me feel really good. So that's something. And then my skin did clear up. It didn't go away all the way, but I definitely have seen improvement in my skin. So that's been really nice, because that was one of the things that I externally that I was hoping I would see a change in. So it's nice that even though it was kind of small, not small, like it didn't cure my skin, but it did help improve it. So that's definitely a benefit. And then I think another pro is that I have learned to just take accountability for my health and my food choices. Like, I have had to be really disciplined in different settings to bring my own food and to make the active decision to say no to things. And there's just, I think, so much power that comes from that. There's so much control. Like, I feel like I have so much control over myself, which in the past I haven't necessarily had. Like, it would be really easy for me to just give in, even if I had specific goals and the choices that I was choosing didn't align with that. It was just kind of like everyone's doing it basically. Like, I'll just have this thing or do this thing, whatever. And doing this elimination diet and being really disciplined with myself has just taught me that I don't have to. I can be disciplined with myself, and my external environment doesn't have to change the way that I show up for my goals. And that has been so, at times, kind of hard, but also just proves to me the type of person I am. And that's really nice. So I did appreciate learning that lesson. Let's talk about some cons, though, because there were a couple of them. I had 1 week. I can't remember which week it was. I want to say it was like week 2 of the elimination diet that I was so constipated. So constipated, you guys. It was so bad. Like, I was really, like, I think I went 4 days there without pooping, and it was painful. My stomach was distended, and I ended up getting this herbal tea because I did some research, because I didn't want to take medicine. Like, I'm doing this elimination diet. I feel like it goes against it to like take medication for it. So I got this tea that was supposed to help, and I was like downing that, and that helped a little bit. And guys, I was eating fiber too. Like, I'm like, I don't know what's going on here. I'm doing everything that I'm supposed to be, but yeah, I was wrecked, and I ended up having to take a laxative. So I took this tea that was supposed to be like laxative tea type of thing, and then I took like a legit laxative pill, because I'm like, I can't do this anymore. Like, this is so uncomfortable. So I ended up doing that, and that was definitely a con of the experience. I don't think everybody who does this will have that same experience with constipation, but I was just unlucky and had it, but got through it. And I didn't necessarily change anything with my diet. I think I probably ate less quinoa, popped quinoa specifically. I don't know. Yeah, it was pretty bad, but we got through it, got to the other side, and ended up being a great experience despite the constipation. I mentioned this before, but there are some social trade-offs that you have to make. Like, you just have to accept the fact that if you want to be involved in different things, you're just gonna have to bring your own food. And so I did this the entirety of my elimination diet, and I would still do this today because I'm still eating very specifically. But I'm just like bringing bags of food with me if I'm going away for the weekend. If I I went boating with my friend and her family, and they had brought food and also went out to lunch afterwards. And I just brought my meals for both of those. Like, I packed food, had it ready, had my specific meals that aligned with my elimination. And I went to weddings, multiple weddings during this time. And so there was this like social aspect of it that was hard at times, but also it wasn't that hard. Like I think this kind of ties into a pro, actually, is that I had to just learn to be okay with being different from everybody else and being not annoying. Because some people could be like, yeah, Riley's so annoying. Like, she's eating gluten-free. She's doing this elimination diet. Like, makes it frustrating for everybody else. But I don't think it did, because I was taking so much accountability and responsibility for my own meals. So I wasn't putting it on other people to like go a certain place or eat a certain way, because I was coming prepared, so that, because I didn't want to make anybody else feel inconvenienced by my specific goals. Like, I just made it so that I could still stick to them even if I wasn't in my preferred environment. And so learning how to navigate that was difficult, but also I think really good, because now I'm confident no matter how I move forward in my diet that I can just, like, I'm in control, and I just know the actions I have to take in order to stick with it, and be prepared. So that was a really, really helpful lesson to learn. I'm actually not currently finished with the elimination. I still have yet to reintroduce gluten. That's the biggest food category that I have not reintroduced. And I think I'm going to wait because how it works is when you reintroduce things in elimination diet, you do it one at a time. So you do like tomatoes, and then you test that for a couple days, and then you reintroduce the next thing, and then you test that for a couple days, and you really just are trying to be in tune with how individual things affect you and individual ingredients and stuff. So I've been doing that, and I actually reintroduced dairy a week ago, and I was surprised because I haven't, except for like farting a little bit more than I have been, like there haven't been any side effects, which has been nice, because I love dairy, I love cheese, I love Greek yogurt, and those are things that I missed. But also, guys, like when I went out to eat for the first time and tried garlic, onions, peppers, and like oil all at the same time, which technically you're not supposed to do, but I was like, whatever, it's gluten-free, and that's my main focus now. So I got those foods, and my friend was like, I want to film you, and so she filmed my reaction, and I ate it, and I hadn't eaten those things for 8 weeks, plus, and I was surprised because it wasn't crazy. That's how I felt with peanut butter too. Some of my favorite foods, even Greek yogurt, low-key, I was like, oh my gosh, I miss this so much. And cheese too, and eggs. Oh my gosh, those were foods that I was like, yeah, these bring me so much joy. But there's also like this confidence that comes with no matter how I move forward, or even the fact that I haven't reacted negatively to things. If I had, I would have had this confidence that I could still eat in a way that's fulfilling and like joyful to me. Like, I wouldn't feel like I'm missing out on a bunch of things because of whatever adjustments I'd have to make for negative results from an elimination. Like, I was feeling confident that I could be happy with the result, and so that's been nice. But I am happy that dairy is good to go so far. I reintroduced a spice yesterday, smoked paprika, which I haven't used paprika, and that's the only thing that's really upset my stomach, like from what I can tell, because I wasn't eating anything different during the day, and that has some additives in it, which I've been like so particular, you guys, about additives, about spices, about anything. And so I think maybe that was the cause of my stomach feeling upset. So I probably just won't use that again, at least for a while, or at least find a paprika or smoked paprika that doesn't have the additives in it. Like I said before, gluten is the major thing that I haven't reintroduced yet. And low-key, I don't think I will until I'm done with my cut. And I've been thinking about this a lot, like moving forward, and how do you navigate your diet after completing different challenges. And I felt this way in the past too, with 75 hard, multiple times that I've done it, and just any challenge where you're changing your diet and you're like sticking to something super specifically, and then that transition to like quote unquote real life or a more balanced approach, I'm still kind of struggling with what I want that to look like. The reason that I want to keep gluten out of my diet on my cut is because reintroducing gluten makes simpler carbohydrates easier to access. So currently I'm eating lots of fruit and lots of vegetables for my carbohydrates because I'm tracking macros, and so I've got like an allotment of grams for the day, right, of carbohydrates that I'm consuming. And say I was eating gluten, then I could be like, okay, I'm gonna have like a piece of bread and I'm gonna do this with that and make a meal from that, which is totally fine. Like I love bread, don't get me wrong, but right now, because I'm not eating gluten, I'm having to go for like spaghetti squash or an apple or something like that, which just feels better to me than certain gluten or grain or flour or things like that. It's also inflammatory, and I just want to reduce inflammation as much as possible. Also, for my blood test, it says that I have higher inflammation, which low-key it said just eat more omega-3s, so I'm doing that. But I do think gluten has inflammatory properties, and so I don't know, I just like other things better too for now. Yeah. So that's why I'm going to keep it out for a longer period of time than I technically need to, is just because it makes it easier for me to hit my goals and to be eating things that align with where I want to be. But I definitely want to reintroduce it because I want to see how my body reacts. I want to see how it affects me. And so I'm going to reintroduce it after my cut is finished. And then after that, and if I reintroduce it and it doesn't affect me negatively, then I have to look at this elimination diet, the results, which are pretty positive all around. Like there hasn't been anything major that has affected me. And then say, okay, if I've done the work to figure out how my body reacts to these things and it reacts fine to basically everything, how am I going to choose to move forward? And right now, like I already mentioned, I think gluten will remain something that I keep out of my diet. But then there's also this question of like, or I could be a little bit more quote unquote balanced and make it like the 80-20, where 80% of the time I'm gluten-free when I'm cooking at home. Like I'm not buying things that have a ton of gluten in them. But then when I go out to eat or I go do things with friends, like I'm not worried about that. But then I'm also a disciplined person, and that feels like cheating to me, or just feels like not sticking to my plan. So I just need to do some more work to figure out how I want to move forward afterwards. Another thing is like sugar, because I haven't eaten any refined added sugar this entire time, and I feel so good. Like, and also guys, I don't feel deprived. That's the thing. Like, it feels balanced to me to be eating this way because I'm not feeling deprived. I have certain desserts and treats and recipes that I've discovered, and my Ninja Creamy is like the biggest life hack for this. I love and look forward to my Ninja Creamy every single night, and it's like my dessert. I get a pint of ice cream, the entire thing, every single night. So I'm not over here like, oh my gosh, I'm just depriving myself. And so regular desserts don't really, like, I don't really care, right? Like, I'm just like, okay, like, I could just eat my Ninja Creamy, which is just as satisfying to me and is gonna leave me feeling better. And there are also, I just with the constraints thing, right? Like, having the constraint of like not eating added sugar means that I have to be more creative, and I get the opportunity to experiment and explore these new recipes and find ways to eat healthier and to be balanced by making treats and desserts and all these things that align with my goals and align with the person that I want to be and the just how I want to feel inside myself and in my body, and just take care of my body. And so I love that. And it's also, I think growing up, taking responsibility for my diet has been a big shift. And even when I think about going home for vacations or for holidays, you know, how do you navigate that if you're being gluten-free, if you're being no added sugar? Like, how do you navigate eating in social situations like that and not allowing it to consume you and consume your mind and stress you out? You know, those are the questions that I'm thinking about for the future. Like, how do I want to navigate this in a way that's not only maintainable, but also enjoyable? Like, I'm not trying to kill myself over here. I'm not trying to make myself miserable. I want this to be a happy, joyful experience. So how can I align that with my goals? And how can I make sure that in these situations that I'm feeling fulfilled while also having a good time, not being distracted by a bunch of other things and like worry about the foods that I can't eat? And part of me is like, okay, I just need to make, in those social settings, just make food to bring that everybody can enjoy, that I can also enjoy. So that's like one strategy that I'm projecting for the future that I'll do. Like, I made these brownie bites yesterday. They are incredible. Anyone would love them. I've made these like date Samoa cookies in the past that were so good. I brought to like a Valentine's Day party when I was doing 75 hard. They were awesome. They got, like, everybody loved them. They were gone by the time I left the party. And those are things that I can eat and that align with my goals, that I can bring and consume and know that I'll enjoy and that other people will enjoy. So I think that's part of when I'm thinking about the future and my strategy, that will be part of it. But I also just need to decide how strict I'm going to be with myself. And I think just outline what I want it to be so that I don't know. I don't want it to feel like I'm not sticking to what I say I want to stick to. And I think I just have to process and outline what that looks like. So say I do the 80-20, like at home, I don't buy gluten, I eat gluten-free, but then when I'm out, I'm allow myself to enjoy things or just not be like anal about it, right? Like maybe that's how I do it. Then like outlining that, like writing down, okay, this is the strategy, this is the plan that I'm going to have for this so that I can show up in those situations and not be worried about it. Like I already know how I'm going to approach it, and so I don't need to be worried. And so I think that's like moving forward, the biggest thing for me is just figuring out how to balance everything and how to take my results from my elimination diet and like apply them to the future. And I think that phase of figuring it out has to come with any change in your diet, and then or like any challenge where you're changing for a specific period of time, and then you just have to decide what you want to keep and what you want to let go of and what you want to just how you want to move forward. And so that's kind of where I'm at right now with my thoughts, and like what I'm thinking about is how do I want to move forward with this. I think another thing that will be interesting is when I start dating again, which will be soon, how I'm going to navigate food on dates. So I just need to like plan this out, you know. It just is going to take some strategy on my end, because I don't love the idea of someone asking me out on a date and being like, hey, there's this place here, do you want to go here, go out to eat? And it's like, oh, I'm sorry, like I'm strict about this, like I'm eating this way. But then there's also like, I shouldn't feel bad about that, you know? Like I shouldn't feel bad about the goals that I have. I shouldn't feel bad about the way that I'm choosing to live my life. And so it's just this balance of like, I guess maybe like some people pleasing or not wanting to inconvenience people at all. But then there's also like, but I want to live this way. And I'm not exactly sure what that looks like. But like once I do, I just want to be able to stand in that and be like, oh, this is the way that I eat. I love these restaurants if we'd want to go here. I don't know. Because also like I want to live my life and I want to have fun. But I also love the way that I eat and live. And so it's like, I don't know. It's definitely a process. I don't have it all figured out. The process is the point, though. The process of figuring it out is the point, you guys. So, yeah. I'm not sure how long this episode is. I feel like it's shorter than my typical one. But I hope this was helpful if you're wanting to do an elimination diet, if you've been interested in them, just kind of getting a little bit of a background, some pros and cons. Overall, you guys, I would recommend doing this, whether it's as extreme or as like, I don't like the word restrictive, like just, I guess strict. As strict as the one that I chose, like, you don't have, there's a bunch of different eliminations, just your own research specific to like what you would want to target. But I think it's an incredible way to understand how food affects you and how you can use food to help heal certain things with your body. Like maybe you've got gut issues, skin issues, whatever it may be. Eating a certain type of way can oftentimes just help that so much. And so just framing it in a way that's like a challenge for you, and that just using it as an opportunity to learn and to grow, I think is awesome. Learn these lessons of discipline and just learn to appreciate new foods and new ways of eating that you didn't before. I think those are all great things. And so I would definitely recommend the Elimination Diet. Hopefully you won't be constipated like I was. But like I said, the constipation was worth it. I would do it again, even if I knew that the constipation was involved. So not a deal breaker by any means. But I definitely recommend it. I am so grateful for all the things that it taught me, all these lessons about just taking responsibility for my health and prioritizing understanding myself and understanding my own body. I think it's just so important to me. I think it's awesome that this is something that you can also just do yourself. Like you don't have to go to a doctor. You don't have to do anything like that. It's just kind of a self-experiment that you could do. You can go to a doctor if you have specific things that are issues that insurance could help with or whatever, but this is something that if you do your own research, you could just do on your own. And it's just, with any challenge, you're going to grow. And so no matter what reason you would want to be doing an elimination diet, I think they're awesome. And I would recommend it based off my experience. And I hope this episode gave you some good tools if you're just interested or want to learn more about it or hear kind of about my experience. If you have any questions, as always, feel free to DM me. Also, please rate the podcast on Spotify or wherever you're listening, just so people know that it's worth their time and that you find it valuable. If you're interested in watching the podcast instead of listening to it, it is up on YouTube on the Notes on Becoming podcast YouTube channel, so you can watch me. Hey, for those that are watching video, I love spending time with you. I love having these conversations, and I definitely want to do in the future like an advice column. I'll post it on the Instagram. Like I made a Google form. I'll post it on the podcast Instagram at Notes on Becoming Pod on Instagram. All these links are in the show notes too, everything that I mentioned. So if you need to go quickly to any of those, you can access them down there. But I'll put an advice column link up on the podcast Instagram stories in a highlight, so you guys can go at whatever point and just ask any advice, whether it's dating, nutrition, food, workouts, motivation, anything like that. You can ask me anything, and I want to just do some advice episodes because I love like speaking to your specific situations and giving advice on particular things. So thank you so much for spending this time with me. I hope you love this episode, and as always, I'm just so happy to talk with you, and I'm excited for next week's episode, and I will see you there. Have a great rest of your day, guys. Bye.